It was just another Tuesday morning, one of those quiet days in the suburbs, the kind where the world feels like it's moving in slow motion. The sun was barely up, casting a soft glow over the rows of perfectly manicured homes. I was sitting on the porch, sipping my coffee, just like I do every morning, watching the world slowly come to life around me. Nothing special, right? If you told me that today was going to be the day everything would change, I would have laughed in your face. But that's exactly what happened. I'm Mike Thompson, and I've lived in this small town for 15 years now. Never been one for the spotlight. I'm the guy who mows his lawn at 6 a.m., keeps to himself, never gets involved in the drama. But sometimes, life has a way of shaking you up, whether you like it or not. It was supposed to be a normal day, a normal case. But the moment I walked into that courtroom, I knew something was off. The courtroom wasn't packed, but it wasn't empty either. The usual shuffle of papers, the quiet murmurs of the attorneys, the soft tapping of the judge's gavel. And then there was me, walking down the aisle, my boots clicking against the tile, the weight of the moment pressing on my shoulders. I was wearing a dark navy suit that I hadn't had the chance to wear in a while, my polished boots that I wore during every deployment, and the one thing I never left home without my medal. It wasn't for show. It wasn't for attention. That medal was there for one reason, and one reason only, to honor the men and women who didn't make it home, the ones who sacrificed everything so I could stand here today. But as I walked toward the witness stand, I caught some curious looks from the jury. I couldn't blame them. Not many people walk into a courtroom wearing a Bronze Star. Then it happened. Judge Carlton Price, a man who had made a name for himself in our small town for being tough but fair, looked me up and down and asked, "Mr. Thompson, I need you to remove that medal before we begin your testimony." I thought I misheard him at first. Remove my medal? I raised my hand, still standing. "Excuse me, Your Honor, could you repeat that?" "The courtroom isn't the place for personal decorations," he said, his tone dismissive, almost like I was making a scene. I stood there for a moment, the words catching in my throat. I was here to testify. That's it. I wasn't here to make a statement or stir up drama. But that medal, it meant something. It represented my service, my brothers who didn't make it, and the truth I was about to speak. "Sir, I can't take it off. Not for politics, not for ceremony, not in this room or any other," I said, my voice steady, but the tension rising in my chest. The judge didn't flinch. He leaned forward, his gaze cold. "If you don't remove the medal, I'll consider you non-compliant." I cleared my throat. "I've served this country for 24 years, Your Honor. This medal isn't for show. It's part of who I am, and I won't take it off." The courtroom went still. I could feel every pair of eyes on me. The judge's face twisted, and I could tell he didn't like being challenged. But I wasn't going to back down. This was about more than a courtroom rule. This was about respect. "You're a witness, not a soldier," Judge Price snapped. I took a deep breath. "I'm both," I replied, my voice barely above a whisper, but clear enough for the gallery to hear. A few whispers broke out in the crowd. One of the court reporters glanced up from her machine, eyes wide. A woman in the back row leaned over and whispered to her neighbor, "Did he just say no?" That's when things got real. The judge didn't know what to do. I could feel the tension building, the pressure mounting. He turned to the prosecutor, waiting for backup. The prosecutor hesitated, not sure whether to get involved. The room was frozen. No one moved, not even the bailiff. Finally, the judge slammed his gavel. "Bailiff, escort Mr. Thompson out of the courtroom. We're taking a recess." I didn't resist. I stood up straight, my boots clicking against the tile as I walked out, the medal still pinned to my chest. But what was supposed to be a brief recess turned into something much bigger. The moment I stepped outside, I was met with cameras, reporters, and a growing crowd. Word had spread like wildfire. People were watching, and not just in the courtroom. I sat in a hallway for what felt like hours, just waiting, the weight of the situation sinking in. I wasn't sure what had just happened, but I knew this wasn't going to be over anytime soon. My lawyer, Janice, paced back and forth beside me. "I've seen a lot in my time," she muttered, shaking her head. "But I've never seen a judge lose his cool over a damn medal." I didn't answer right away. My mind had wandered back to my days in the field, those dusty roads outside Kandahar. That medal wasn't for valor. It was for the ones who didn't make it home. But this wasn't just about me. It was about the truth. And when you stand for the truth, you can't let anyone push you around. Not even a judge. Janice sat down beside me, her face serious. He's going to try to block your testimony. Say it's biased, or that it's a distraction. I didn't flinch. Let him try. I didn't come here for politics. I came here for the truth. The day dragged on, and by the time the court reconvened, it was clear things had changed. The gallery was packed. Veterans, civilians, people from all walks of life, all there to witness what was unfolding. When Judge Price returned to the bench, he was clearly rattled. His voice was sharp, his eyes cold. We will resume testimony without Mr. Thompson. I stood there in the hallway, knowing this wasn't just about me anymore. People were talking, not just in the courtroom, but outside, too. And they weren't talking about the case. They were talking about respect and dignity. Janice came out to speak to me. It's escalating. The media's all over this now. I didn't care about the media. I cared about the truth. I just wanted the judge to see that. I wanted him to understand that this wasn't a fight about decorum. It was about standing for something bigger than yourself. By the time I got home, the phone wouldn't stop ringing. News outlets, veteran groups, even people I didn't know. They all had something to say. And it wasn't just local. The story had gone national, trending online, sparking debates, interviews, and public outrage. And the next day, Judge Price's past started to unravel. People were digging into his record. Turns out, this wasn't the first time he'd clashed with veterans. And that's when the real damage started. Leaked audio from a meeting before my testimony came to light. The judge had made it clear he didn't care about my service. He just wanted to put me in my place. If he walks in here with that medal like he owns the place, he was heard saying, I'll shut him down. That was the moment everything changed. Not just for me, but for the judge too. The public outcry was overwhelming. Veterans were rallying. The media had their teeth in it now. And slowly, the truth came out. Judge Price wasn't just a man in a robe. He was a man with a history of disrespect, a man who thought his courtroom was his kingdom. The investigation was swift. The Judicial Review Board launched a formal inquiry into his conduct, and soon enough, the judge had no choice but to resign. And me? I kept quiet. I didn't want the attention. I just wanted to do my job and speak the truth. But when the city released a public statement thanking me for my service, acknowledging my role in exposing the truth, that was enough. That was all I needed. I didn't ask for any of this. But sometimes, you don't have a choice. Sometimes, doing what's right means standing tall, even when the world tells you to shrink. I didn't wear that medal for applause. I wore it for respect. And if someone couldn't handle that in the courtroom, then maybe the courtroom needed fixing. Not me. The last time I walked into that courthouse, I didn't wear my medals. I didn't need to. The respect I earned wasn't something anyone could take from me. And when I gave my testimony, it was clear the truth had a way of speaking louder than anything else. And you know what? Maybe that's the message here. Sometimes, the loudest thing you can do is just stand your ground. No grand speeches. No big declarations. Just the quiet strength to be who you are. So, what do you think? Was it worth it? Let me know in the comments. Share your thoughts on what's really at stake when we stand up for truth, even when it's uncomfortable. Because in the end, maybe it's not just about the medal. Maybe it's about the dignity that comes with it.